Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gorcom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out big news. For those of you out there who believe, and how can you not, in the future transition to electric vehicles and the batteries that power them, you're going to love this interview and the news we're going to reveal with HPQ Silicon. And that's because the demand for silicon is projected to be valued between $15 and $20 billion by 2025. That's a year and a half. That's a year and 3 months from now. It's around the corner. And then by 2030, silicon-based anode material demand is estimated to be worth another $15 billion. So that's a big market. But what's the problem? And what's HPQ solving? Silicon is the second most abundant element on the planet. We know that. But silicon metal manufacturing is currently the largest emitter of CO2 among metals and non-ferrous metals on a per ton basis. That's because the conventional silicon manufacturing process is both expensive and energy intensive. Why? It hasn't even been renewed since 1899. It's one of the oldest manufacturing processes out there. HPQ, their quartz reduction reactor, the QRR technology, is a revolutionary, compact, modular process that produces silicon cheaper and with zero CO2 emissions. And today, the big news, big milestone, company announces successful silicon pour and validation of all critical milestones in the PureVap Gen 3 testing. Bernard, welcome back. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been about a week, right?
Yeah, I know.
Well, last time we spoke, you said a pour was coming. And we know that shareholders were really waiting for this milestone.
I actually said the pour should be coming within next week. And then Peter issued his press release where it was overly conservative. It says in the coming weeks, but I'm happy to say that it was done within the timeline I put in. Check mark from what? But, with all the other timelines I missed.
How do you feel? How do you feel? How should shareholders feel today with this milestone?
Well, how I feel very relieved, very happy, very excited. How investors should feel, it's just a demonstration of what we said was going to happen. I've come to these interviews, I've issued in press releases, I've been very adamant that we were going to get the pour, that the project is moving forward. So I'm as you can see, I'm really excited. No, I am really excited. I'm really excited. I was trying to deliberately play low, but no, I'm very happy about this, and this for me opens up lots of other things. So I'm very happy.
Peter has a quote in the press release. I want to refer to it. This silicon pour is the crowning achievement in the development of the QRR pilot plant from conception to commercialization. HPQ Silicon now has final proof that this game-changing approach to the creation of high-purity silicon is ready for commercialization. I mean, that's commercialization twice in one quote. Let's expand on that a little bit. What does this do now? What's the significance of this from a mission point of view and from you being off the leash now to start commercializing?
Well, actually, like, as you say off the leash, it's liberating, because this silicone pour has made us sweat, not because it was a complicated issue. I always told you I would know we we're going to be confident, but we just had to redesign the bottom of the reactor and just get it done and make it work and improve it work. So I feel very good, very comfortable, because we have a plan. We're executing on that plan, and we see an incredible market opportunity in the market niche. That comes out from multiple discussion with battery manufacturers and people in our space, which is there's an opportunity for HPQ with the QRR technology to fill a void, okay, that the industry doesn't know, because it's a nascent industry, the silicone for anode material industry. It's really a nascent industry, but there's a niche for it, because traditional silicone manufacturers are based on high volume, low cost. So they're based on volume production. in the battery space, it is a niche market, niche demand. And once you get, I think I've said that many times, once you get approved within the battery line, they don't like things to change. Okay. So what the QRR gives us is an incredible flexibility of offering them, okay, a material that's going to be green, so it's going to help the carbon footprint of the battery, which is a heavy element. Silicone is going to allow them to lighten the weight of the batteries, which is now becoming an issue. It's going to be able to improve the distance and the efficiency of the batteries, and it's also going to be able to be done to the specific request, because every battery manufacturer is going to have their own recipe, their own tweaks, their own how they want things done, and it's going to be moving forward. Now, what we've learned and discovered, there's a special niche for it, and the silicone we are doing, okay, is a feedstock that can be used to make silicone anode material. Now, all the work of the transformation from that silicone to the silicone anode material, the R&D has been led by an innovation team in France, while we have this ace in the hole, which is going to be literally our ability to make, to have control over our feedstock. So I feel very confident about this, but I also feel very liberated because it's a big check mark done, okay? When you talk to investors, they were always coming back, what about the poor? What about the poor? What about the poor? Like it's done. Now I feel like I can explain more the business model that HPQ is pushing forward, okay? Without the question mark going, oh, are you changing direction? Are you doing this because this doesn't work? No, we've proven it work. Now, everything that we're doing is based on a business plan that we're executing around three main initiatives: silicone, fumed silica, and hydrogen. Well, and going to the future is going to be fumed silica first, silicone second, and then hydrogen at the same time, because we have a pathways to start monetizing this starting in 2024 with the fumed silica, 2025 with the hydrogen and the battery material, and 2026 and beyond with the entire line of the QRR. But we'll be starting the silicone battery material in 2025.
Getting back to commercialization, yeah, I want to talk about those, but I want to get back to commercial just to finish, because there's also a quote you have that we can't ignore. But two things I'm going to say. This is the sixth check mark. It's the sixth and probably biggest one in order to 100% validate your critical milestones. That was achieving 2N from the outset, scaling up production by 2,500 times, demonstrating semi-continuous, completing the successful pour, achieving one-step 3N, and production of the silicon using 25% less feedstock. Does the industry now have to pay attention to you? I mean, they already were, but now that you've checked all these boxes, and this is the last and the biggest one, and I'm going to refer to your quote in a second, but to support this, but does the industry almost have to pay attention to you now because you've check marked all the boxes?
Don't know, don't care, because I'm not competing head to head with them. Okay, I'm not competing. That's not the market I'm after, and the reason for that is because the margins are massive, and I've been saying that for a long time. Eventually, as the technology gets grown, demonstrated, I start to take market share in the specific niche. Of course, you're going to look at me. The same thing that happened in fumed silica. Okay, fumed silica, we started to mention there was a little bit of interest for people when we started to have commercial sample ready. Then the ball started to move faster. So that's the same game plan I'm following it. Of course, they're looking what we're doing, but everybody understands the timeline to scale this up. So it's what's different is with the work we are doing in the battery space, the silicone anode material for battery space. Okay, we can start entering that business space, that market space at the beginning, and then start gaining market shares, interests, more and more people that want to work with us in a dedicated fashion. Because we do have within the HPQ Innovation Group some interesting intellectual properties that can do some fascinating stuff in the battery space.
Well, in the press release, you stated, I'm going to read the quote from you. HPQ is actively pursuing its battery strategy to supply tailored silicon-based anode materials to industry buyers. Okay, that's a good general statement, but then this is the one I love. We're making excellent progress in establishing our first silicon-based anodes production line to meet specific demands from a party under NDA by the end of 2024. Can you expand on that? Because that sounds like commercialization is coming sooner than
as I told you, I'm
a
much more freer person, but you know, you might not be able to travel as much because I might annoy you more often.
Yeah, you got me again on it. I'm on the West Coast, and so everyone knows that I don't know about these things coming out in advance. Last night at midnight, I'm like, George, we need an interview tomorrow, and I have to rearrange my schedule. So maybe that'll be a tell in the future. Every time I leave the country, some big news is going to come.
Well, you gotta check with me before you leave the country. No, it's there's a lot of things moving forward, but for me, what was important was that we announced the silicone pour. But I'm an old hand at this. I understand how, you know, market reactions are and our investors are. And you understand the old adage, buy on news, buy on rumor, sell on news. But in HPQ's case, this is not the news. This is a news. There are more news that we're doing. I'm being very, very soon. I'm hoping in the next, you know, week to 10 days, we'll have a new investor deck up that will differentiate and showcase better what is HPQ's plan to start, you know, monetizing on our technologies, because we do have a lot on our plate. It's surprising. It's in a certain way, you know, I tried to organize it so everything would come straddle, so there will always be something of excitement. Didn't work out that way. It happens that everything comes at the same time. It's like planning. The original business plan was, you know, while we get one project moving that will go in a more quiet phase, we'll have another one. It's not happening. It's like as if every one of the exciting phase came in.
It's more like convergence.
It's an overall conversion in everything. The concept of reshoring is becoming bigger and bigger and more complex. So you need processes that are going to be more efficient. Okay, in a higher for longer world. Okay. How companies are going to succeed like HPQ is if they can bring basically interesting financial rewards to doing this, okay? And that's what we offer. In the fume silica, that's literally what we're offering. In the silicone industry, it is what we offer, because everybody can try to make a good silicone anode material, but then there's going to be the entire control of the value chain. Right now, 95% of the silicone anode material value chain is controlled out of China. That's not what people want. How do you go repatriate this? Well, you need to have multiple things that we're doing at the same time. I'm very
party
excited
under
about the
NDA. You call them a party under NDA, and hopefully one day we'll find out who they are. Is this the last check mark that they're waiting for? And if this is the last check mark they're waiting for,
no. That is great. It's part, but how can I say this? These guys have their own business plan where to fit in, so they understand the industrial part of what we're doing. Okay, what fits well for them is that I'll explain it more at a later stage. But overall, we fit well into it, and they have something that they're looking for us to see if we can do for them, and we have something of ours. Novation has something of theirs that they're interested in. So it's a perfect mix. You know,
go ahead.
You know, what I find very funny is that people don't seem to understand how the mechanic of developing a business goes, really. Since we're more public, we're a much more open communication type of society now. We start issuing a preliminary press release which says this is the inspirational goal we're trying to do. Like we said, for fume silica, we're going to do it much better. That then attracts the interest of people to take a look at it, to want to get it to move forward. And then that starts with an NDA, and then that moves on. If the interest continues, the NDA moves on to MOU, and then the MOUs, they move into formal binding agreement to move forward. That's just the way things process. So as HPQ has been advancing, hitting the milestones of the QRR and the fume silica, that is normal that we're progressing in that direction.
What's next? What's next? I mean, you're
You know, I can't
officially
tell
no
you.
longer a one-trick pony, because even this side is now, you've got the silicon pour, it's done. Can I even ask what's next, or is it just so much going on right now? But I'm going to ask you regardless. That
Well, what's next? I've said it that we have 3 initiatives. Okay. Now that the silicon pour is done, we'll be focusing much more on, for a little while anyway, on the fume silica. And the reason for that is because it's you know, I know more things than anybody else does. And I think it's the wise move. At the same time, we're working a lot on the silicone for anode for battery materials. That's moving forward. And we're also moving a lot on the hydrogen solution, in the sense that there is going to be massive demands, because it's a uniquely positioned product. All of our products are uniquely positioned. And what I liked about our project mix, okay, is that we're not dependent. I don't want to criticize my old industry, which is the mining industry, okay? But everybody understood. You understood. You did a PAA, you knew bankable feasibility studies. But at the end, it always ends up like the number is like, okay, to make $1 billion, you need $1 billion. And you know, we had this argument many times over. Then you have the public, even though it has a $300 million market cap, they still got to raise $1 billion. I've always been an adamant point of this. I'm looking for projects where we can commercialize it for small capital demand toward generating revenues, or having a project that's exciting enough where a major is going to come in and says, we want to be number one. We want to be your number one client. Okay. And the project mix that we have allows us to do this. It will go from exciting startup with a great project, maybe the future big company in the battery space, to existing companies in other markets. That's what's so fascinating about what HPQ has to offer. And I think that's what people don't realize.
And by the way, I don't know if people realize this also, but a lot of those projects, the traditional ones that were, potentially competing in the same space, and their business models have blown up with interest rates now at 25, 30-year highs. If Georgecom Metals needed $1 billion capex 4 or 5 years ago, we're trying to raise it. Mm-hmm. We're going to do debt, and we've done all these numbers. Well, those were at interest rates that were 1/5 of where they are today, 1/3 of where they are today. So does that make HPQ Silicon even more powerful, because you do have the low capex, modular, very quick business model, as opposed to Georgecom Metals? I need to raise $1 billion. My economics is just blown up. I have to hope that the underlying metals prices are significantly higher to be economic. Less interest in my project now because the economics have been blown up. More interest in HPQ Silicon, because that's kind of how I see the chain reaction. But you tell me if I'm over.
No, you actually not wrong. And I didn't think about it that way, because I always thought about it in my business, since we're going to be offering cost advantage that's going to offset the interest cost. I thought it is, but for my competitors, and that's a massive headache there is in the silicone industry right now, which is that China's capacity, okay, is now more going inward toward Chinese demand for Chinese manufactured within China, within their sphere of influence, which by default leaves a deficit of silicone in the rest of the world. Now, there's the issue is, where are you going to build? There's nobody that has a real unique advantage to do it. At the same time, there's demand for silicone for batteries, which is very specific. So HPQ, the QRR, we're perfectly positioned for this, and we're going to be changing the industry. So, and we've always been very agile in dealing with the overall economic environment. So it only makes our business model even more attractive, because
that's what I think.
Yeah, that's really what it is. It
has to have blown a couple of competitors or potential competitors right off the table, right?
George,
You're almost
since
Forrest Gump
this,
right now with the last shrimping boat potentially. I'm not saying you're the last and only, but there are a
there's like
lot
what?
less shrimping boats.
Well, there's a lot of people that think I am Forrest Gump, but that's another story for another day. But anyway, but the key issue for me is that HPQ is HPQ, and our business model fits where the environment it is. We started this in 2015. We had the vision. We originally wanted to go solar, didn't pan out for multiple reasons. I always think that it could be an opportunity that doesn't come back, but I think now we're well positioned to take advantage of this, and we're agile. We're agile enough to be able to take advantage. So I wouldn't bet against HPQ. I don't think it's a wise bet, because we have so many projects moving forward that are basically almost all pre-commercialization. At the beginning, when I can understand Peter, because when we started this was a pipe dream, but it's no longer a pipe dream. We know how we're going to be going forward. We know how to move everyone on the next step forward. As I said, now, for me, that was a big check mark. Silicone pour done. Let's go for this and come into it. And I get the message that people are trying to tell me, oh, great, they're going to go in production doing 50 tons. But that doesn't interest me. I'll tell you why. If we make 50 ton of even 3 to 4 N, we'll get what, $8,000 a ton? That's what, $400,000 in revenue? Come on, it's not even serious. But we do what we're setting out to do for the silicone anode material. Our 50 tons will become closer to 150 ton, selling for $50,000 a ton. Those are all numbers I put in my press release. there is source of all this in my press release. $7.5 million. And that's just a starting. That is what? That is, 3 decimal points of meeting the demand of the market. And having somebody that's going to do that in North America and in Europe, there's not too many people that are positioned to do this. So we are taking the steps to accomplish those objectives. We're just not overly talking about what we're doing, but we're going to do like in fume silica. Look at comment says, we've done this. This is where we're going.
Well, I like the way you've been doing it. You've been kind of remaining under the radar, a little stealth, and then bam, all of a sudden you come up and you tell us something significant on the fume silica with the other stuff. So, man, congratulations, buddy! Another great milestone. Reading a little bit on social media, clearly the real shareholders, which is the majority of shareholders, are really happy. You've always got a couple of funsters, right? But I mean, this is
it's like
you're
they're getting
wearing that
burned,
shirt
so.
today for a reason. You got some. What are the
Let's
little
go,
green
pirates.
guys there?
We're taking care of the scallywags, the funster scallywags. Off with their heads.
Congratulations, Bernard. Can't wait to have you back on. And I don't know, I've got to imagine, I hope I don't get a call tonight. That's all. I hope I don't get a call tonight, because tonight I'm going to see you two at the Sphere. So don't give me a call tonight. Tell me we need another
Gee, you were in
interview
the West
tomorrow,
Coast. Oh, okay. So now we know more where you are.
Every time I leave the country, you always call me up at the craziest times. But man, congratulations! This is a
Thank
really
you.
big milestone, and watching you go through this from 2015 and to get to here is unbelievable. And man, the next between what's going on here with fume silica with green hydrogen, I can't wait. The next 3, 6, 9 months, 12 months, going to be awesome. But we'll celebrate this one today, and can't wait to have you back, my friend.
Thank you.
Stay right home. You've been watching or been listening to my podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform. To Bernard Tourillon, he's a CEO at HPQ Silicon, trades in Canada to HPQ, and for our friends in the US under HPQ FF. Do your due diligence, and we'll see you next time. Hey guys, the video's over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our YouTube channel so you never miss another great Agoracom small cap video.